episode. Season 3. Like they had a great second to last episode. It was the penultimate episode. And then it got weird.
I honestly think that they wanted to tie up all the loose ends and
Mhm.
finish it on more or less a high. And because they weren't sure if they were going to get a season
Yeah.
four or not.
Are they?
What is it?
The Orville.
Oh, yeah.
There's
They started filming.
they
Huh.
they said yes, but until I see it,
Well, as I said, there's like a week ago or so they announced that they started filming.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hello, Mr. Art.
How you doing?
All right.
Just doing dinner here. So I'll probably turn off the microphone so that you don't have to hear me chomping.
All right. We'll be here. The the one storyline that they didn't tie up was uh, Mercer's kid.
Mhm.
That one never got resolved in any significant way.
There was a hint toward it though.
Yeah, but I mean, it never really got resolved.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about spoilers? I don't think I watched season 3.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Well, watch season 3.
Not always 100%. I haven't watched that show for so long. I went to watch the newest season of Resident Alien or whatever.
Mhm.
Evidently, I must have missed a season or the first half of the season or something. Because I was like, did all this flash. I was like, dude, I don't remember any of this. And I went back to my MB server. I was like, oh wait, I'm missing 12 episodes or something.
I uh I started watching The Ark.
Did you?
Yeah, and
I watched the first episode. I've got the first season now. I never finished more than I thought it was kind of, I don't know. It didn't catch me.
it grew on me.
I figured I need to watch more of it. It's space. I just thought it had a cheesy start.
It's more or less still, even now in its second season, almost near the end of its second season. It's a disaster of the week show. I mean, every week there's a new freaking disaster.
Yeah. It's almost like watching Stargate Universe.
But yeah, I mean,
Less dark.
yeah, it's kind of funny. It it grew on me, like I said, but I'm pretty sick of the disaster of the week kind of deal. I just want them to move forward.
Yeah. I miss I was really enjoying crap what's that called? The Expanse.
See, I that's the one that I started watching, and I probably got halfway through the first season, and
Didn't want to get
I just I don't know, it didn't jump out and grab me. So
oh,
everybody says it's great and it's great and it's great, and I'm sitting there going,
yeah.
when?
I don't know. I really got into it when they started getting to the alien ruins and all kinds of stuff like that. And I like the first season's a little weird, but then it gets less. It gets more normal for 4 through 5.
So you're saying stick with it?
6 gets kind of woke, and they off some of the characters because of their woke that they are not.
So you're saying stick with it and skip season 6?
Well, it wasn't bad, and it just killed off. He had, but I don't know.
Have you?
They didn't really have it in the show, but they can like the conservative people from the show. Yeah, it's like I had to do with that.
Well,
But
that's all.
yeah,
Have you,
Kind of like the Mandalorian canon, or whatever. That was complete BS.
see, I couldn't really get into Mandalorian either.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
It was a lot
I'm
better
not,
than the last couple movies.
I'm not, people look at me and think that I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I'm not really. I'm not really a big fan of Star Wars. I'm a big fan of Star Trek,
Yeah.
but
See,
not so much Star Wars.
I haven't watched the last couple things of Star Trek, and I'm afraid to.
Well, yeah, I mean the past whatever it is, 7 years or whatever, it's just been garbage.
Well, that's what I say. I haven't watched. I didn't really get into Enterprise all that much.
Enterprise for me was the start of the downfall.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
I would say it had issues, and it's like, and I don't know what my issue is. It's like I watched Scott Bakula and other stuff. Doesn't bother me a bit for some reason. I just didn't like having that famous of a captain.
Oh,
And
my biggest problem was
some of the tech in the episodes are
the temporal Cold War was for the first 2 seasons was like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
No one in the future has ever mentioned this. Ever. I mean, you would think that if it was that big of a deal, somebody somewhere would have said, hey, we got to watch this.
Yeah.
But that was my biggest issue with it.
They probably threw that in there because they had the temporal guy in Next Generation. And so they threw it into Enterprise. But Enterprise predates it by what, 400 years? So,
something like that.
Yeah, it was
300 years.
A very corny, screwy show. I was just saying some of the tech that they had but didn't have later, and some of the stuff they just kind of had in the show, and it's like, well, you guys didn't have that yet. I mean,
they had
Mike Jordy invented that.
they used the grappling hooks a lot instead of a tractor beam.
Yeah.
And they did have the transporter, but they used the shuttles a whole lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't horrible, but
I'm just saying that there was some discrepancies in it.
Yeah. Well, the food replicators, which never really were a thing until late in TOS.
Yeah.
And okay, I might believe that they had those because they did have transporters, but again, it's one of those things you think someone would have mentioned it somewhere.
But I was saying, then I watched Picard, but I haven't watched. There was some other series between
Strange New Worlds.
Well, and Strange New Worlds is still going, I think. Yeah. But I was thinking there was another
Discovery.
Yeah, Discovery. I didn't watch any of it.
I watched the first season. I watched the complete first season of Discovery and went, well, what the hell did I just watch? And
now I've wanted to watch Underdeck, but I still haven't done that.
Underdeck?
Yeah, it's a cartoon version of like Next Generation of the lower officers and lower decks. Lower decks or whatever.
It's called low, and it's funny.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like a Simpsons.
Out of all of the new Trek, that is probably that's probably the one I like the most.
Yeah.
Because at least in my opinion, Star Trek's the best when it doesn't take itself so serious.
Yeah.
And the Lower Decks definitely does not take itself serious.
Yeah.
I mean, it tackles some serious issues, but it does it in such a way that you just kind of go, oh, howdy. Hello. How are you?
The diabetic team put me on a new medication about a month ago called Ozempic.
Oh, yeah.
And
Makes you sick for about 2 weeks.
Yeah. You dump this in and you dump that in and shake it up. But it's supposed to help with my Crohn's, heart attack and stroke, as well as my sugar levels. And it's an interesting drug. You do an injection of a tiny amount, 0.25 milligrams per week. And I lost 7 pounds in the first 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't think I'm particularly overweight. But they upped the dose yesterday.
Yeah, and they will. They'll keep upping it. If they start you off on a big dose, you won't take it. They had me up to, I'm on, not Ozempic, the other one.
Wegovy? No.
I don't even know. It's another once a week injection. But I went on vacation and forgot it. Came back, it's like, well, it's expensive. I didn't get it refilled. And they put me back on the same one like a month later. Oh my God. I lost 12 pounds in 3 days. Yeah, it was coming out both ends. I thought I was going to die, but I'm still on that dose, and honestly, I feel much better. I've gone from 225-ish, and right now I'm at 195. And I honestly, from my perspective, I eat worse. I eat more candy, which I had pretty much just given up on. But yeah, between that and the continuous glucose monitor, my numbers are much better. I've got enough energy to wake up, which now is getting questionable. So,
yeah, the levels that I feel comfortable at, what most people are considered, oh, you're that high. It's like, you know, I consider I'm that low.
my glucose levels where I felt good were 250s and 300s. That was fine, no problem. I was, I mean, when I found out I had diabetes, I was at 725.
Yeah.
So, and I felt fine.
The theory, and this is from 40 years ago, if not longer, was that your body establishes a set point, and that's what it aims at. And it might not be a good set point according to everybody else, if that's what your body feels comfortable doing. And their objective for me is to push that set point down. And they've done it. And this was several years ago. I was at the VA clinic. They have particular clinics on a particular day of the week. And on Wednesdays was their diabetic clinic. And I'm in a waiting room. And I'm not particularly eavesdropping, but there's 2 guys that are sitting behind me. And I cannot help overhearing what they're saying 18 inches behind my head. The one guy says, "Ask your A1C." The guy says, "Oh, I'm about 13." And the other guy says, "Oh, I'm up at 16 again." And I wanted to jump up and look around and see if they're in a wheelchair with amputations or stuff. Because 5.5 or 6 is when people start getting concerned. They're way the hell up there.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, so
Probably ought to talk to your doctor.
I probably
I mean,
I know when my sugar gets wiggy, I have to eat.
Mhm.
I can feel it. It happens. So I probably should. But
Well, I remember we were doing a virtual meeting and I said something about my sugars being down at 50. And you said, oh, I've never been down there. When I'm, um, I'll be at like 300 and then my sugar just drops. There's no blip, no hesitation, no plateau, no slowing down, no ski slope. It just
right off the cliff, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
down into the deep water.
I usually start feeling weird if I haven't ate and it's really hot out. Then I start feeling strange. And I know I need food.
Manjaro.
Montreal. Sounds like
It's a mountain in Africa.
well, I was thinking more like a volcano about to explode in the South Pacific.
I thought you were talking Linux. Monjaro Linux. Have you seen Cape Crusader yet? The new animated Batman? Okay. Wow. I can't talk to you about it then. What we were talking about shows.
Yeah, so I haven't watched any real animation in a long while, other than some movies.
Good job in picking up that 3D printer.
Oh, does anyone want to buy it?
Steven, what?
I'll sell it at cost. I don't have a need or a use.
I understand.
I'll build it for you if you want.
Uh,
I don't know what it takes. I think it's just 2 or 3 pieces in there.
yeah,
Steve didn't want it. He just couldn't pass it up.
$2 off? What the heck?
Yeah, more.
Yeah,
The
like
first
3.
sticker that's on there says $379, I think.
It was 380. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And I don't know if it's worth that, but
somebody
surely after an update, it ought to be pretty decent.
somebody grabbed the other one that was there for 116. So somebody else saw it and said, "That's a heck of a deal too."
I was tempted to go buy the bamboo too, because they were like 150 or $200 off. I was like,
The Anycubic is that one Anycubic, whatever it is, the Cobra 3.
yeah, it was marked down to like 95 or something. Or
That was no, it was still 420. But
one of those.
That was an awesome printer. And
Any idea on a Big Tree Tech Hurricane?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm sitting there going, it's got to be a clone of something, right? Big Tree Tech apparently is a real company, but they've got to be a clone of a Persa or a Creality or something.
Well, I don't know whether you noticed in that link I had sent you, they did a time comparison on the printing time involved in this guy does.
I kind of skipped ahead a little, skipped around a bit. Because that was a long video.
Yeah, it is. And that guy does some really, really nice work. He's built a super fine CNC. And he built a dust collection nozzle and printed it on 3D.
Okay.
And he printed it initially on the ender that Ray was selling.
Yeah.
And so that's what prompted me to go ahead and watch the video now. It took him 61 hours to print it on the ender and 10 hours to print it on the newer one.
In one of those emails about the $90 printer, I put a link to a girl who was reviewing the Anycubic, and she's got a Bamboo and she's got dozens of printers, but she was comparing the speed, and the Anycubic The quality wasn't quite as good as the Bamboo, but it was markedly faster than the Bamboo. The Bamboo is a fast printer, like a print that would take 10 hours, took like 7 on this Anycubic. And she even said that if she adjusted the speed, she probably could get better resolution, but she would give up speed for. So her whole thing was, I want to see how fast I can print this. And you could, when you had the two prints next to each other, you could see, yeah, there was a noticeable difference, but it wasn't horrible. It was like, yeah, this one's nice, really nice. This one's pretty good. This one will pass for most people.
Well, if you're doing a desk collection hood, I mean, as long as it's not so rough as to impede its purpose,
yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, you probably seen some of my the Enders and the Wanhu that I've got, and even the Flashboard, those are all like probably second generation printers, and they are slow, miserably slow. Even in a low quality print, it is just painfully slow to sit there and go.
Yeah, but they're not like a Microsoft product where you can't just walk away because you got to come back to Microsoft. So you want to continue? That's like,
well, no, you couldn't.
No,
you could walk away.
Stop in the middle of the night. Wait for me.
No, I've walked away from them several times, but they are painfully slow. And that was one thing that when I saw the Anycubic, I went, that would be so nice to be able to print a Benchy in 20 minutes instead of an hour. And have it look just as good as the print that came off of my
first Benchy I printed on the black and orange nice printer. The one that was really expensive. Yeah,
Prusa.
I think that printed in about 40 minutes. I mean, it was pretty quick. I didn't have anything to compare it to, but
yeah, Benchy should go somewhere between 40 and an hour and 20 maybe. So 40 would be on the faster side.
I mean, it's pretty quick, and it's faster now. It's had like 3 or 4 updates, and one of them messed up the leveling sensor, but made it really fast. And then the update after that slowed it back down some, but the leveling sensor worked.
That's the Ender. I've been playing around with it since I put the leveling sensor on, and I have found that I need to actually make it go slower to get really good solid prints. So it's 100% speed default. I drop it down to about 80 and it seems to do perfect.
Yeah.
And then I also bumped the first layer temperature up to 60, and then I'll let it drop back down to 50 after it gets 2 or 3 layers down. And that seems to help because it has this weird problem where even when the bed is level, it doesn't really want to adhere. But if it's hot, if it's pretty hot, it will. So
I haven't had that issue on the Prusa. Sometimes I have trouble getting it off that flexible plate, but yeah, I don't know. That has been a very, very stable printer.
So that's
my only fault with it is my kid put one of the 5 filament feeders on it. It's garbage.
The Flashboards I've got, the dual head, that's a rock steady print. I don't even have to think about it. I just tell it to print something and walk away from it, and it will print. The Wanhu is kind of like that. You got to make sure that the first layer gets done right. But the Ender, I'm usually sitting there watching it going, come on, you can do it. And by the time it gets to the third or fourth layer, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I like the Ender. I like, it's small. It fits on a small area on a desk that I have no room on anyway.
Yeah.
And
Been there.
I like that. That's by far the printer that I've done the most mods and updates and crap to, because it seems like it just wants people to caress
Play
it.
with it. Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at getting the all metal hot end for it. Pretty cheap, and seems like that's a good upgrade.
Yeah, I'm still considering getting rid of the glass and putting a flexible a mag thing on it. Well, I've got the mag thing on the Wanhu,
Yeah,
which is
Ollie has the flexible metal plates for $9.
well,
Saw those.
Micro Center has a flexible plate for $10, I think.
Oh, really?
It's a closeout, but it's for the bigger reality. It's not for the Ender 3. I think I could just cut it down now. I think I could just take some shears.
Yeah, let it still hang over a little bit, because you can't cut it without messing up the edge.
Yeah.
Not what my paper wrapper says.
Ow.
That's the Wanhu, that's an i3, so I think it's based off the Cursor.
Okay.
And I bought the magnetic bed that I bought for it, which I bought the wrong size. It's too big, but it doesn't matter. It didn't care. It's
Yeah, I mean, having an overhang doesn't hurt anything as long as it doesn't run into the side rails.
yeah. Out of all the printers I've had, that Flash Forge is probably the best one, and its build plate is pretty small, really. But
like that one I got from you, which I yet to plug in.
the Mini,
yeah, that's cute. I want to use it for something.
The Mini, I can't remember why I got rid of that. I think I could never get it to completely
level.
It was always off in some dimension somewhere. The Delta, that I really like the Delta, but those apparently had some problems with the motherboard and one of the servos, one of the control ports for the motherboard would go out on it, and then you're screwed unless you replace the board.
Oh.
And that's exactly what happened to mine. I bought it as a refurb, and after a year of service, it went out again, and so I just kind of said, heck with it, I'm not fixing it.
Yeah. That's one with the 3 arms that change length, basic or right up and down on.
It does that weird Delta triangle thing, and they're really neat to watch, but that build plate was that big. So it really I used it a lot for very small stuff, but it really wasn't, eh, and it really wasn't worth, I paid 99 bucks for it. The motherboard for it at the time was like 140. And I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm paying $140 for a $90 printer.
It's one of the things I like about the Ender. When the Prusa dies, the Ender should last plenty of time, and all the components on that are cheap.
Cheap.
Yeah.
And you can find them on eBay directly from Creality for little to nothing. And there's even third party vendors that make parts for it, and they're even cheaper. But I got that bed leveling sensor directly from Creality for less than 20 bucks.
Oh. Hmm.
Yeah. I put it, I'll give you the secret. Find one that Creality is selling for like 25 bucks.
Mhm.
Because there's plenty of them on there. Put it in your watch list, and a day or so later, they will make an offer to you for $20. And then you go, okay, 25 was already a good deal, but 20 is better. So, I did read your email. I just didn't respond to it.
I need to.
That's something. The it's not that would never.
My brother retired after 23 years in Naval Air. He sent me an article about how a chief on a ship line had illegally installed Starlink on the stern of the ship and then lied about it. It was providing Wi-Fi to other chiefs on the ship and concealing that they had that. And I related, I'm just a poor grunt in the Army, and I got in trouble for we're doing a simulated fire movement, with pow pow as opposed to bang bang. I got in trouble. I can't imagine putting an aiming device or a target on a ship.
I
It's probably a little worse than the poor guy that took a picture of his bunk in the sub.
Yeah.
Go out on.
I did hear about that one.
Oh, yeah, was that the Obama era or end of Obama's second term or something? Some new recruit in the Navy took a picture of his bunk that threw his ass in Leavenworth for like 4 years or something.
See, that's what I'm saying. They should have just that would have been a court martial, get the hell out of here kind of offense.
A loss of one rank was all this woman got.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing though, is he took a picture of his bed in a nuclear sub. Like that was, I'd understand if it was an
There
injury
was something that they wanted to get him for, and that was what was left.
Well, that's it was
maybe.
It just seemed pretty extreme for a picture of a bunk.
I mean, technically that would still be classified because the entire submarine is top secret, but they've let film crews on board taking all kinds of pictures.
Yeah, well, that's what they were saying, that there's other crews that are taking, they showed pictures of the operations deck, and their advertisements. So,
there's certain gauges on board that you're not allowed to film no matter who you are, but
yeah.
That's why Hunt for Red October completely made up the sonar room. That's complete fiction.
Yeah, but I just that seemed pretty extreme. But I thought, and they didn't do nothing. They made a lot of hoop up. I mean, people have done way worse and gotten away with a whole lot more. Like the guy that they just caught selling all our blue plants for all our aircraft. to the Russians for the last 3 years,
That's
they're probably gonna slap him on the wrist and let him walk.
I
You know,
that certainly isn't the service I was in. That's all I'm going
but the
to.
kid that took a picture of his bunk spent years in jail. But the guy that sold the blueprints for the F-35 and the F-16 and the F-14 and the F-18 to the Russians in the last 2 years from RIF is gonna get nothing.
Well, the thing is if you believe the article or whatever, this chief, she had all kinds of acknowledgments and ribbons
accolades.
and yes, she was highly decorated and all this stuff, and it's like too smart for her own damn good is what it is. And she was young too, right?
Yeah, someone said that she was smart enough to do it and not get caught, but not smart enough to know that she shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Well, but then the other concept too is why they didn't know that was coming off the ship.
I think that the people who did find it were part of the crew that were utilizing
Trying to track down.
So they were all part of this conspiracy. And I was surprised at how it was found. It was found by a contractor who was installing another device back there. And I got the impression he was like, what the hell?
That should wait. What the hell is this?
Well, I'm just saying the radio waves coming off from the transmitter, they should have been detecting the anomaly and the, you know, somebody was. Should have been.
Yeah, and that was part of the article too, as I said, when questioned about it, she had repeatedly lied to cover up the fact that it was in it. Now, I'm doing the flip side of it. I'm pretty sure that opposing forces are able to track a surface ship without the need of a Starlink.
Yeah. Oh.
But
that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I don't.
But I believe, from what I understand, Starlink's a little hard to track. And it's a whole Ukrainian thing. Because the Ukrainians have been using it for their systems and it's hard to pick up. But
it would be a downlink, so
it's both.
Yeah, it transmits up too, but it's narrow band and
it's very directional.
Yeah, it's very hard to
I
pick up on. So it could be hard to for the onboard ship stuff to detect it.
I'm surprised that the radioman didn't realize that there was something, that it didn't interfere with something else.
Yeah, I was just saying a drone or something should have been
getting GPS or something. I mean, that's
but I was because I remember Dimitri comes to my meetings and he talked about it. It's kind of hard because the Russians have a really hard time targeting the receivers. So that's why they had communication.
Maybe it, I don't really know how it works. Maybe it's sending brief packets.
Well, it's small enough bandwidth, it's new. And it's like 50 gigahertz or something. Yeah. It's off out of band for most of older equipment. Something crazy. But I was like, too, I didn't realize.
I'm surprised if it's 50 gigahertz. I'm surprised if they messed with the radar. There's stuff on board that should have been sensitive to.
Yeah, but if it's a directional beam going out, yeah.
Radio still kind of goes out.
Well, I'm wondering how that works.
Not like it used to. There's some pretty funky stuff now.
Yeah, if you're on a ship though, and a highly directional beam has to be pretty effective to keep on target.
Yeah.
Was it? It would have had to have been outside.
Yeah, it was on the aft deck.
You'd think You'd think a commander or something walking around would go, what the hell is that on my boat?
It wasn't there last time we were in port.
That wasn't there before.
That's true too. That's some kind of angle on it though, with it.
No, they can face straight up and see 20 satellites at a time.
Yeah. Our when we would catch a satellite, we didn't have that. We had like a mast, and it would catch the satellite without, as long as we weren't underwater, as long as we didn't get a big wave over top of us.
Starlink thing is a plate, not much bigger than that, so.
Yeah, with something like 1,080 antennas on it.
Yeah.
I've only seen a few pictures of them, so I thought they were bigger than that though.
Oh.
I know they want to put Starlink in cell phones. Yeah, that's more like a pizza sized dish.
Yeah.
He just came out with his new telephone. He made a deal with T-Mobile.
Yeah, I know that. So that's more like a 12-inch dish or.
So there's smaller models than that for residential.
In a building, right?
Do what?
That one's on the deck of a ship. So
it's alone.
So the one that she got in trouble for was in 2023, and she got in trouble when they were putting in another Starlink antenna. There's an authorized version of Starlink that they were installing.
Right.
And well, there's already an antenna here.
There's already a Starlink antenna.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that might make a little more sense, right? A civilian version and a military version.
This is your kit.
Ah. Cool. Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. In yours?
Yeah.
The Kim one.
I didn't know I made one.
Mm-hmm.
Are you all ready to be amazed?
Yes.
By the ultimate power?
It's square.
Okay, it's going to run in your stuff.
Right.
Clean my stuff up? Come on now. I thought it had obstacle avoidance on it.
It's not square. It's not tired.
That's not.
That's not a square.
Didn't even get to my stuff.
That was a square.
Into wrong 4 feet or something.
I even said be amazed that I can't make it do anything else.
It's a broken turnaround.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Now you need a pen in the middle.
Draw a square.
Big pad of paper.
And then you can
That
prove
would pass a field sobriety test.
It works pretty well on a flat surface. I had it on a unleveled table surface, and it kind of went. I did actually try to make it go a little bit bigger, and I've got to figure out which wheel is going faster because it starts to drift.
Those motors are barely enough for
Yeah.
for the road. If you add more weight, they will have trouble.
And if the batteries are dying, all it's doing is counting encoder clicks.
Texas Instrument robot kit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one that Texas Instruments apparently just abandoned. Just
They designed an online course of embedded system or something like that, and this is the basic how to the course.
The online course isn't even there anymore. Everything's gone. But I had
I think that was a little expensive for what it is. Close to 200.
I didn't pay anywhere near what it should have been. I found it on eBay brand new years ago. I don't remember what I paid. I probably paid $50 for it.
I bought one 2 months ago, but USPS lost it. They called me, they found it, but never bring back the package. Sorry, we delivered in the wrong address. We will solve it. Okay, thank you. Then I asked them, no, your case is closed. The package was lost. Oh, thank you. So I write to eBay and they refund the money immediately.
Pay $60 for it.
68, no, 86 or something.
There's a guy on there that's got a couple of them, or he had a couple of them for like $67.
I just remember the
I like eBay. They solve your problem, no questions. Yeah.
But
what are the holes on the wheels on either side of the axle?
other ways to attach it.
No, they're not on line.
They're
not centered.
How hard?
one of these feels, that one feels a little.
From my perspective, those are backwards.
Okay. That's the way they put them on there. I didn't put those on there.
But I mean, if you're running into something and it catches here, it's never going to hit.
Probably.
The leaf should be this direction with the sensor on, or the button on.
Yes, exactly.
All
of them.
But if this board was here and this one was here, if they still line up, I think that would be right.
I've had it run into something, but not at a weird angle. So.
Yeah.
And may I see the holes that you're talking about?
Here.
I can't see that far.
The little
on the wheels.
Oh, okay.
It looks like you use a pair of those things called pliers with little buttons that stick out, and you squeeze and they get further.
Like the C-clamp.
Yeah.
Taker offers.
Snap ring pliers.
Maybe good to get flat walls.
I don't know. I've had it run into a few things, and
well, I mean that's how it's friction on anyway, so that's how probably this come off, isn't it?
Well, could be.
Well, if
you use snap ring pliers, you can take the wheels off really easily.
Oh, maybe
slitted so you can. There's a slit there.
Yeah, it's just friction on there. I don't know. I've never noticed that before. Those are the same wheels that come with the Rami chassis. So
Palulu 2019.
Palulu and TI teamed up together, but that's a Rami chassis with a Rami chassis motorboard.
The Texas controller.
The controller is TI, but everything else that's on there came from Palulu.
Very cool.
And there's a line sensor on the bottom, right in the center, which it is what it is. That's where it is. And you know, these These were add-ons. So you could buy this chassis with no motor board. You could buy it with a motor board that was designed for the Arduino for the Arduino board or for the Raspberry Pi. And I think this one is specially designed for the TI board. But that's a Pulu board. Pulu motors, Pulu encoder. The encoders are separate. You know, you could buy those for $12 or something. I don't remember how much these were. That sensor is a separate sensor. You buy it, I think it was $10 or something back in the day. But yeah, it's like the whole thing.
So the encoders, are they mouse wheel or magnetic?
They're magnetic.
Oh, cool.
So there's a
Okay, yeah.
There's a Hall effect sensor in there somewhere. Now, TI did make a library for this thing, and luckily the library and everything got installed when I was able to get the Arduino IDE up and running with it. And for some reason, they decided to count, even when the wheels go backwards, it counts up instead of giving you a negative number. Yeah, that's what I said. So
everything is relative.
So when I'm turning like this,
they're both going up.
They're both going up.
In the other direction, they're both going up. That's weird.
So it gets to this, so it turns 90 degrees-ish. It resets the count so that it can roll forward 6 inches, resets the count, turns 90 degrees again. Ish. It's all on the counter. So if one of the wheels slips, the count's going to be wrong and it's not going to turn 90 degrees.
Right.
And it's also my hokey guess to
estimation code.
6 inches make it go that way. 4 inches make it turn 90 degrees if I turn the wheels in opposite direction.
Do you get one count per motor revolution? Or two?
So if the whole entire thing goes around 360.
Okay.
So basically it's, if you put a mark here and you turned it completely around and back to the mark, that's 360.
So is the motor drive to the axle drive of the wheels 1-to-1, or is there a ratio?
I'm not sure what the ratio is. I'm not sure what the gearing is. There's gears in there.
Just guessing, I'll bet it's 180-to-1.
Maybe. I don't know. We probably could look at the Pulu website. It probably would tell you. Well, because those are just the standard motors.
Yeah. If you're able to rotate it 360, there's got to be some. You're not going to have 19.1 to 1 ratio.
Oh, yeah.
You'd never be able to figure out what the hell it was.
Is it reading the encoders directly, or is there another controller under the encoder? Because then it could be programmed to be anything you want.
121 to 1.
So three counts per rotation.
Okay. All I know is that one complete rotation here gives you 360 on the count.
You didn't paint a little dot on it?
I did. I did on one of my other ones. That's how I know it's 360. And I watched this one. I set this one up on my little pillbox, and I watched it do its count in the serial terminal. I'm like, yep, that's 360. It's the same as. But then I didn't go, why isn't it counting down? Why is it still counting up? It's not bad. It's supposed to go about 6 inches, and then it turns and goes about 6 inches and turns comes about 6 inches, and boom, there's a square. See, that time it was off. It drifted a little. Did you see that?
The reason it always counts up is because there's only one sensor. It only knows something went by. It doesn't know what direction it's going.
Usually I make like arrows with the tape
Mm-hmm.
and put in the wheels. And then start the test and see how far from the arrows it is.
I need to do that with this one. I've got this same basic setup with an ESP 8266.
Mm-hmm.
I am 99% sure that it counts down.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's something in their software has dropped. They're probably using the ABS or something and dropping the minus. It doesn't matter as long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And certainly if you pause at any point, you can verify it hasn't moved, and you know that the next command is going to take it backwards.
That's not bad. It's not bad. I think the shafts are a little loose here, which I don't like, but it's like that on all of them. Every one of the chassis I've got, the shafts are a little loose.
I have some 2mm ID ball bearings if you want to play with that.
It's like friction is a big problem.
No, not the friction, but with ball bearing races, you can clear up all your tolerances. And if you're supporting the axles and ball bearings, they're not going to move nearly as much as they do in a plastic bushing.
Okay. Steve, you have 12 counts per revolution of the motor in the encoder. The encoder is set.
The encoder the encoder spins 12 times for every
turn of the motor.
So
it's 12
counts, not 12.
Multiplied by 120, the number of steps.
Okay.
You have 12 counts for each turn of the motor. And you have one turn for each 200 turns of the motor.
Yeah.
So that's like 3 counts for every or something.
Oh, you can see it.
4 counts.
There's 2 Hall effect sensors on there. You can see them.
Okay.
Teeny tiny stuff.
Yeah.
So it should count. It should be able to count up and count down. It's something in their library that they've done.
But they're 180 degrees apart. They should be 90. So
I don't know. I know it works.
Yeah, and you can custom order magnets that have 30 holes around the outside. So yeah.
Approximately 1,440 counts per revolution.
Then you're scaling it some way. It's 1,400 counts per revolution.
I would have to look at
the library. Maybe is doing it.
I'd have to look at my ESP code because I don't think I did anything special to it. I don't think I scaled it or anything. I think I just put a mark on the wheel and told it to turn and told it to stop when the mark got back to the top. And went, oh, cool, it's 360. Wow, that's a circle.
I was looking at some servo controller. It was like a 3-inch diameter motor, about that long, horsepower. And it had a magnetic encoder on it with 1,024 counts per rotation of the motor. I was looking at it for one of the little mini lathes, and you were supposed to be able to take the thing from stopped to 4,000 RPM in 3 rotations of the motor.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure. Everything, all the examples that TI gives that I was able to find, all have this thing moving super slow. Where I know this just because I've played with these chassis a lot, I know they'll get up and move. So I'm not real sure why TI decided everything should move slow. I'm sure that's something in their library, and I'm sure that eventually I'm going to.
So you don't kill people.
It was meant for education. It was primarily sold to colleges.
You don't drive off and staggering.
And then immediately abandoned. So
that's what seems odd.
It did not last long. Well, the dates on there is 2019. And yeah, I think I bought mine. I think I bought this right around that time, and it sat in the closet for 3 months. This is the first time I played with it.
Oh,
They pulled all the funding and
who knows? Well, they seem to have dropped support for this MSP 432 chip altogether.
well, they probably stopped making them.
So they probably have stopped making them.
Right during COVID, I mean, all the chips manufacturers completely shut down for a year.
Yeah. Yeah, but you'd think that if they ever had plans to reintroduce this, then they wouldn't have deleted everything from the website. It would have been somewhere.
It probably was an order from China or some place. Just done. Company will not know the chips. Who knows?
But they're still making the MSP 430s.
Yeah.
Not the 432s, which are the better chips.
Yeah.
The 430s are these are like dual core or quad core or something, and they'll run free RTOS on them. The other ones are pretty limited. The other ones are like 8-bit. This is like 16-bit or somehow. And it's a nice
one of them. Defcon badges for like 22 had some kind of new color parallax for color board in them that are supposed to take off in it.
Yeah.
Never heard about it again. It was like one of the last parallax chips that ever came out.
Well, I mean, they're having problems with the Raspberry Pi 2050. The new Raspberry Pi 2050 has some issue. That made a pretty good square, even though it was a diamond, from my perspective.
Is that the one that they released in the new Defcon bag?
Probably. It's got some sort of serial issue or something.
One of my buddies that his bad dirty died. He's not good. The ticket for that was $490 because of the bad.
Okay. Be amazed at the ability to make a very small square. So the reason I can't reprogram it here, I don't have the Arduino IDE installed on this laptop, and I don't have the TI software installed on this laptop. And you kind of need both to make it.
So what you're saying is you're just slacking.
I am, and I don't care.
We don't.
That's typical of a slacker. Just doesn't care.
I just don't care. You don't like it? Tough.
I once had a obsessive compulsive neighbor that came to lawn care. And he said, I was out looking at your yard the other day and I noticed that you didn't mow in straight lines in the backyard. And it occurred to me, you just didn't care.
About it.
You know, I had a robotic lawnmower, right? At one time. And it never mowed. It would do circles and it would do all kinds of weird stuff. It was like a Roomba for the lawn, right? It would just bounce all over the place. If your neighbor was there, I'd be like, yeah, talk to the robot. It's not my fault. I am too lazy to care as long as it's mowed.
He would get out spring level and a line to trim his hedges.
That is a little obsessive.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is he probably needs that new laser cutting grass mower thing.
I don't know.
Have you seen that? There's it was on Hackaday. Laser lawnmower. He put a bunch of lasers in it and was mowing his yard with it, and it didn't look right. It caught the brown grass on fire real nice though for me. So that was kind of it.
Well, he's just a reflection of human idiosyncrasies. Because he called me about a month ago and said, I need your help changing the tire on my car. He's moved a long time ago, but he had driven his car until the steel belts were protruding through the trail.
In there.
Yeah.
And his tire was flat, and his spare was in worse shape than the tire. So I can't drive it over to the tire shop. How the hell did you drive it to such a point that you had? It would have been, in my mind, dangerous to get up to highway speed.
There with my uncle last time. Well, he had a tire on his car or something. Anyhow, we were at tire discounters there in like here at Eastgate. And you know, you probably need to call before we go up there because they might have a tire in stock. And, oh, sure, they'll have my tire. We got up there and he's waiting in line for like an hour and he finally gets to the counter. They don't have it in stock, of course. But I'm standing out there in the lot while he's ordering to get a tire. And this guy pulls in with a van on the rim. And I'm like, got two kids in it. And I'm like, that's intriguing that you've ran it to the point where you're, you know, on metal, the tire's gone, and you got kids in your van. That's, you know, you're gonna need a new rim, buddy.
Yeah. Especially as it's an alloy rim.
Yeah, I know. So I'm sitting there like he's gonna like, you know, I need to get a tire. And I'm thinking you're gonna need a lot more than a tire.
I got one of the tires on the cruiser went flat, and of course it doesn't have a spare. It never came with a spare, and it didn't come with a jack. Tire discounter is 2 miles down the road, so not a big deal. But I got a ride up to Walmart, bought a can of Fix-A-Flat, put it in there because I'm not driving 2 miles on a flat tire.
They couldn't do it. You put Fix-A-Flat.
And they wouldn't fix it because I put Fix-A-Flat in it, and I was like, oh. So I had to get a brand new freaking tire. Even though you could see the nail, it was right there. You could see it. We can't fix that. You put Fix-A-Flat in.
The reason being the propellant is propane, and it sometimes goes boom when they're taking it off. If you take the core out and let it's safe after that. But yeah. One of my favorite Walmart stories. I came out and I've got a flat. There's the nail. Damn it. So I go in to get one of the cheap patch kits, the ones with the rubber worms you glue in. And there's one hanging on the peg that's had two of those taken out, and it's got all the glue, and there's somebody before me patched their tire in the lot and then returned what was left. It's a $5 kit. I mean, I'm poor, but damn.
Well, you assume that they bothered to buy it and you didn't take it out while it was in the.
Well, they wouldn't have brought it back if they had stolen it.
That's really what all I wanted them to do was because I mean you could literally see the nail.
Those kits work.
All I wanted them to do was just patch the tire. The tire was not great, but it wasn't bad-ish. It was getting to the point where a nail could penetrate it, but
easily. Yeah.
But it probably still had a little while longer on it. But no, I have to be an idiot and put Fix-A-Flat in it and take it to somewhere that doesn't want to fix it after you put Fix-A-Flat.
Well, I discovered the hard way that Fix-A-Flat incapacitates the tire pressure sensors.
Oh, well, mine has been incapacitated since.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to turn the light off. I'm not. It's like $40 a year to have those things replaced.
No, those are cheap.
That's the cost of the transmit.
Yeah.
Then you've got to pay somebody to do it.
Those are like cheap Chinese junk ones that they highly recommend not to do because they only last a couple of months. I mentioned that to my guy the other day, and he said, "Oh no, you want this brand?" And I think their cheapest one's like $85, and it was like 100, 200 bucks. We're like, I ain't spending that kind of money. I don't care.
When I had tires put on the car, they asked if I wanted the tire pressure sensors. So I said, no. I mean, it's had the yellow light for 7 years at least. I don't care.
I don't understand why they don't have the panel accessible so you can just swap out the stupid battery.
Do you want us to put tire pressure sensors in it? Your light's on. Yeah, I know. I don't care.
And Leroy is such a slacker. He didn't even put duct tape over the light.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you turn on the car and it flashes and you go, okay, whatever. I walk around the car every couple of days. Yep. My tires look fine. I'm good. That's actually how I found out that I had a flat tire, because I am one of the few people that actually do walk around my car and look at my tires.
Hell, I can't even tell my tires are flat.
Oh, I can. I stick a thumb in the sidewall. I know what my tires should feel like.
I usually
tires going like that. Yeah, so you can't tell. And like the sensor comes on, and like I didn't know. Like I went and walked around and put the stupid pressure gauge on it, and it was like, 38, 38, 38, 20. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's probably the one while the light's on.
I usually hit I hit my tires. Same deal. I hear the thud, and it's probably good.
Yep. Of course, I left out the part where I had like a cheap one, and the first one said 20, 20, 20. Well, then when I put the good one on, it's like saying like 38. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. The other one was saying 20. All four of my tires were flat the first round.
I used to get them to put 38 pounds in mine. But I stopped doing that. I don't remember why I stopped doing it.
Keeps the sensor light off a lot longer.
There's that.
A leak.
Tends to wear more in the center of the tread then.
Get better gas mileage.
Yeah, that's true.
I had
like 2 extra miles in their Prius. I
had the oil changed in at a tire discounter out of state somewhere, and they walked around with one of those things that would tell if the tire pressure, the TPMs were working. And she said, you 3 of these work. Do you want me to replace the 4th? And I'm like, no, I don't care.
Well, I was speaking to my nephew the other night, and he is an off-road bicyclist. And he has discovered a place out in New Mexico that only allows bikes with 5-inch wide tires
Okay.
to go through there. And he said, it's stupid, ridiculous that they only carry like 2 pounds of pressure in it.
Yeah, but they're comfortable to ride.
I have never ridden a bike with tires, even close to that wide.
That'd be interesting. I saw a bike the other day, something like that. I think it was on TV. Oh, it was motorized for a minute.
Because it's really hard to pedal a bike that's got low tire pressure.
Oh, do like going through mush.
Yep.
There's a guy that's driving a gas powered one right outside of Bethel. He drives and going to the town by the time I'm going to lunch. A lot of the times. And my dad gets all upset because he's driving down the road on the curb. It's a highway. Why did you be on the side of the road? Can't go fast enough. I'd rather than be on the off in the median.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why it drifts a little, because the wheels either do this or this.
Yeah.
No, it's just cheap.
Well, about the same policy, we're like, oh, too heavy.
I don't think
Not perfectly square.
the weight is an issue. I think it's now when I had the screen on it, that might have caused something. That little OLED screen, I'm going to start using that. That thing works all right. After I finally found a driver that worked with the TI board. That's the fun part about using hardware like this is that it's not supported anymore. Finding drivers to make stuff work. It was a challenge even when it was, even when they supported it. Now it's even more of a challenge.
The Wayback Machine not the thing.
The Wayback Machine has part of it. Enough-ish to, I got the schematics and I got some other stuff from Wayback, but they do not have like the full course. Courses are all in PDF and they don't have the PDFs.
Mm-hmm.
They have some of them. They don't have all of them. That was nice of them.
TI used to have a pretty decent customer relations. You may be able to just call them and ask, and I mean, because they've still got those files, some.
I would hope so, in their archives or something.
Yeah.
I would hope they just want to abandon this thing altogether.
Well, we're not talking about the value of memory from 1952. Why do I go through and purge something that costs more to purge it than just leave it?
That's why I'm surprised when they get rid of the class, especially just in 2019.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like they just have completely abandoned this board.
Probably didn't do it intentionally. I'm probably the stupid web thing guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
probably don't even know it.
We had a flood, we lost everything in the division.
Well, so, VMware got acquired by Broadcom, right? So like Broadcom's web pages now for VMware doesn't have access to the old copies of VMware, but some dude on Reddit posted like a back-end access code on a storage site, so you can get every version of VMware.
That's what I found on GitHub was there's some fans of this board and fans of TI that have tried to archive as much of it as they could. It's so some of the information's there. It's just not where you want it to be, and it's not as easy to find as it used to be.
They're deleting technology stuff off the internet, so except the rest too. We're not allowed to be smart and make stuff. You might make a drone that blows up cars.
You get on the TI website though, and you type in like this model number. They do acknowledge that it existed, but almost every link is gone. It's okay.
Well,
it existed,
and I'll tell you probably why that is they were probably running, especially TI, was probably running CentOS as their web servers, and it's deprecating. And their website was probably designed and wasn't PHP8 compatible or whatever, and
they just got to fix it.
Because I'm waiting for my data to be transferred off our CentOS 7 box to our Alma 9 box.
There's a script to do that upgrade.
What? Upgrade
from CentOS 7 to Alma 9.
Is there?
Yep.
Yeah, wow.
It works very well.
We own the server. That'd be great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind. Sorry.
We pay for a cloud server on Liquid Web, and Liquid Web's like, well, no, you're gonna have to spin up an Alma 9 and we'll copy your shit over for you. I'm like, okay. And their Alma 9 build failed, and then it took 2 days for them to acknowledge that their setup failed, and I spent 2 days waiting for the migration team to come back and move our stuff over. Yeah, I understand. But since they do it for free, I'm like, whatever.
I might
stop it. Huh? Stoffel. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch.
Wow.
I might believe that something like that happened with TI, except it seems like they just
well, I mean, if their website wasn't compatible, and they probably coder walked out or they banned them.
It seems like when you go to whatever it was, university.ti. That resource doesn't exist anymore.
I'm just saying, the coder that probably built it's gone, and the other guy doesn't want to bother to learn it. I mean, I just finished spending like the last 2 months migrating like 6 sites because the coders were from 5 different companies, and they're all gone, and nobody maintained any of that stuff.
Get ready for HTTP 3.
Yeah, we're on HTTP 5.
Not HTTP/3.
Okay.
It's the new. I was just reading about it. It's the new
universities.
It's the new protocols for HTTP, and they're not going to use TCP anymore. They're going to use Cubic.
Good job. We're talking with a 50-foot pole. The day they secure IPv6, I'll worry about switching those. Because the vulnerability of that this past week is bullshit too. For something that's been out for freaking almost 20 years.
Well, this had to be pretty close to 45 years ago. I was working with Warren, and the initial first PCs that we were using didn't have a battery on the motherboard. So every time we started it up, we had to enter the date time. Except she never did. And everything was on floppy. She never labeled anything. And she used the same file name for everything. And she left. So I need her work. And there's no way to tell what the hell she had. It's like everyone, what version is this? So I can understand how come people, programmers who do document the code
or document poorly.
That don't bother to increment the revisions of a document. And have 4 copies of it in 4 different directories. And they use the date to keep track of it. And I asked them which one they wanted to keep, and they didn't care. So when I dumped all 4 of them in the new SharePoint, and all 4 of them had the same date, and they all have the same revision number, they were like, "Oh my God, which one's what?" I'm like, I asked, I warned you.
Well, I might be sloppy about some things. Yeah, I don't care whether my lawn is straight, but I'm meticulous when it comes to data revisions.
Yeah. Well, that's like, okay, you got an employee manual. I mean, I could tell looking at the old SharePoint that basically every time somebody else took over the employment manual, they just copied it to their folder, but nobody ever put a new version number, on the first page of the document. So you couldn't tell looking at it which one was which version.
I've done
they
that.
Were all called like 1.51. And I'm like, guys might want to update that somewhere.
I've done that with some of my code. I try to keep it updated, and then I go save.
All 4.
Oh, nope, that should have been. I should have changed that.
At least throw an A, B, or C or something in the file name.
Oh, see, I that's one reason why I started using Git, was because it does keep file revisions.
Yeah.
And even if I don't put a version number or whatever on there, it saves the previous version and the current version and probably 6 or 7 or 12 or 15 versions previous to that. So there's a record of the changes. It's just I'm not real good about updating the number necessarily. Like, okay, this is actually version 17, but it says it's version 2.
Well, this is
but I can look back at the Git and go,
I think you'll enjoy it. My nephew started working for an engineering firm straight out of high school as a CAD operator. And he was tasked with getting information about the location of all the sprinkler heads in this huge Pratt & Whitney engine facility. And for whatever reason, they wanted to know the location, elevation, and type of every sprinkler head. And they had an HP laser, and they shined that on, and the guy would push the button and see type, and they were giving him a printout and wanted him to pull it up in his CAD drawing and post it. He said, "This is stupid. This is nothing but a database anyway." So he sat down and started writing code to pull it from the surveying instrument directly in, putting it in. And people were coming through and said, "Well, I'm pissing away your time. We'll get back to work doing it." Well, after 2 days, he had done it. And the company that he worked for had bid $125,000 and expected to make $25,000. And after his work around, they made $100,000 as opposed to 25. And suddenly, no one complained about him working on little side projects. But ultimately, he ended up being the vice president of technology for Henderson Engineering Company in Kansas City. And they are the firm that maintains all the drawings for Walmart throughout the world. So if they have a notice from Walmart that you now have to put in a GFCI and such in a mock closet, well, they revise all of it. So if they're going to build a new one, it's there because so much easier to do it during installation, construction. But along the way, he was sent to England for 3 years. They had purchased an engineering company in England, and he got over there and said it was the most antiquated thing he had ever seen. The guy's on the 3rd floor, he's working on it, but he doesn't do this other part. So he takes the floppy out, goes over, gets on the elevator, flies down, goes over, gives it to another guy, and bullshits for a half an hour or 45 minutes while the guy makes his changes, pulls the floppy out and gives it back. And he said, this is absurd. He said, the telephone system is full of pops and gurgles and whistles. He said, I couldn't do anything with what they had. So he goes to implement changes, and they have this archaic approval process where to buy a paperclip that takes 6 signatures and documentation. And he knows he doesn't work for them. He works for the headquarters back in the States. So he just goes out and buys whatever he needs and turns in the receipts. And when he came back to the States, he had the letter. He was really proud of it. So even after repeated warnings, you have failed to follow the protocol.
So I'm looking at HTTP3.
Yeah.
And QUIC, pronounced quiche, is the quick UDP internet control protocol or something. They want to use UDP because they can do multiple streams at once and run that in user space instead of kernel space.
And
which to me is a bad idea because now you've just reduced your security a bunch.
yeah, they're claiming better security.
Yeah,
that's
more,
what they're
more tracking and monitoring is what it is.
I'm looking at a
they're claiming,
IETF memo on it right now.
They're claiming that it negotiates security
more frequently
at a different layer than TCP does.
Probably a lower layer, and you can read it.
And it's not a plugin, which I know is not the right word, like TLS or what an SSL is. It's built into the protocol.
Like I said, the day they secure IPv6.
The day they secure anything.
You hear the new Windows vulnerability, haven't you ever heard of it?
Which one?
The IPv6. Like you can send since IPv6 is, if you actually have a external UEID, you have a routable MAC on the internet. That's visible to the world. And there's a special packet you can send with that that's underbyte bit. So you send a -1 packet with a payload, and it'll fire off the payload. They are now root of your computer.
Nice.
And there's nothing you can do about it other than turn off IPv6.
That's me. I don't use IPv6.
Well, neither do I, but that's
what you do.
No,
No, you do.
Yeah.
All of your machines still have an IPv6
I've turned it off.
address.
I've turned it off. I've
Okay.
disabled it.
Locally, I mean, the only people that actually use IPv6 are usually the ISPs, but if it is on and you have IPv6 down to your device, that you actually have an external
I've turned it off.
GUA,
I've turned it off on the router too.
you have somebody who can just go and hello, you're my box. And it's that's awesome.
I turned off IPv6 on the router and I disabled it. You know what? I probably didn't disable it on this machine.
Well,
I've disabled it on all my others.
It is so Windows updates usually turn it back on because
But I don't use it.
Yeah, but my firewall doesn't allow IPv6 traffic at all anyway. But so I have a local link. So
I disabled it for an entirely different reason, but it's nice to know that I was right.
Well, but that's been my thing. I mean, we've had issues with IPv6 for years, but that was one that they announced, I guess, this past week or something. I was like, holy hell.
No,
So I sent that out to work and I'm like, yeah.
I mean, unless the router doesn't honor the fact that I've disabled it and it's still getting an IPv6 somewhere.
Like if you got those little Google pucks and probably is Alex or Alexa probably uses IPv6 too, you know. But they can pop them like it's a Christmas tree and see everything on your network. And evidently this stuff spreads like a banshee.
Well, luckily it only affects Windows.
Yes.
Which means I'm only going to have problems if I bring my machine home from work.
Yeah.
Or Marla leaves hers on.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, as long as you have a FE80 IPv6 address, you're fine. But if you got a 2000 or 3000, you're. But
I don't know.
That brings up another whole ball game. So I don't know if you guys have you ever seen a Sophia.json?
Gotta hate JSON.
So somebody sent us a PDF over the weekend and it had that in it and it didn't fire right. So Tuesday, 2 more people got them and it did fire right. I would throw that kind of stuff in a sandbox just to see. So it throws a critical error for Acrobat, pulls down Acrobat DC for 32-bit and sideloads it, downloads a BMP file, and then launches it, like disables Windows Defender.
All from a
PDF file, and then launches it and decrypts that BMP file and started spider netting to like Netherlands, DC, and LA, command and control network. And I was like digging around, I was like, man, that looks bad. None of the malware detect jack squat. I'm like, that seems suspicious to me. Why doesn't anything flag any of that? You know? I got to digging around that and then looking at that JSON a little bit. And there was a guy on Reddit from about 1.5 years ago ranting about it. He said that has affected every device on his network, from his phone to his TVs to his, you know, because it's going through Bluetooth, it's going through Wi-Fi, it's going, you know, and he doesn't know what it is or what it's doing, but he's like, how do you get rid of this? And people were calling him a schizophrenic paranoia whack job. And the guy's like, look, here's the logs, here's the virus total log, here's the, you know, it's throwing shit, it's doing stuff, it's communicating with stuff. And all these other people were acting like he was a nut job. And I'm like, none of the antivirus is flagging any of this. It's like, no, you know, it's like it's a like next generation Stuxnet or something. I was like,
Once you have something like that started.
yeah, I mean, you got to just like shut everything down and purge it all.
I keep getting emails from Coinbase saying that I've sent 1.99 Ethereums or whatever.
Yeah,
Ethereums.
Ethereums.
You're a rich boy.
Yeah, well, apparently I am because I keep sending 1.99 of them. And I don't even use Coinbase, so that's pretty cool.
I saw Ethereum is dropping. I guess the guy got a girlfriend or something a couple of years ago. But Ethereum's been doing this ever since he has.
Okay. This all came in the kit. Not that I actually need all of them. Oh, look, push buttons. Wires and push buttons.
Good breadboards are always good.
Yeah, the breadboard is probably the best thing ever. They've drilled holes in that thing, so you can mount. So you can actually mount it somewhere.
That's cool.
I just noticed.
Well, I think the holes were already there. They just
No,
poked through the.
you could see where
Yeah, you're right.
they did precisely do it. There's a little barb in there. I don't know. That's pretty wild. But they gave me some standoffs, which are probably for the other. Hulu sells an upper deck for this chassis. And it's not expensive. It's like $6 or something.
Okay, is the big round thing in here
I don't know.
It looks like a power resistor.
The big.
Can I open this?
Yeah. It's a zip line.
Okay, it's a 10 ohm, 13 watt resistor. Why?
Damn, you could power that off with a big tractor battery.
That's
Maybe
a good one for any kid I've ever seen.
Maybe when you want to make sure your batteries are really dead, you just drop that across the terminals and one hands. 13 watts is pretty impressive. 10 ohm, 5%.
I don't know if I've ever seen a kit that's included on that
I was
big.
just saying,
Oh, here, let's test it.
Kirkland. 6 batteries.
What? Kirkland?
Kirkland.
repackaged their cells.
Yeah.
They're a Harbor Freight brand?
No,
Yeah.
no, they're Kirkland. It's a subdivision of Duracell. When Duracell's been on the shelf for 8 years, they come into our plant in Sunderland and we reskin them as Kirkland and ship them back out.
Distributed by Costco Warehouse Corporation.
Maybe that's where they came from. I couldn't remember where. I've had these things for years, and they don't die. They just go and go and go. Really? Yeah. Well, eventually they do die, but
Well, it's like you're using a dozen of them, so
Yeah.
eventually they do die. But they've been decent batteries. That's
yeah.
all.
Well, like I said, they're repackaged Duracell.
In high school, my first wife was programming an IBM 1601 breadboard with jumpers that look like that.
Yeah, I don't like those jumpers.
What's that?
Yeah, what's wrong with them?
The DuPont cables.
Yeah.
They never, unless they're really high quality DuPont cables, they wiggle too much or they just don't fit real well.
Bread.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's way better than what we did in our electronics class. We just had strict wires.
Yeah. Yeah. In 4 colors with crumbs.
Yeah, see, these are probably.
Oh, no, we only had colors if you bought another color reel.
Yeah. It's like these connectors, even on these pins. I mean, now see, that's not bad.
Mhm.
That one doesn't lose it. That one's pretty good. So these may be good, but a lot of them they loosen up over time and they just kind of they wiggle and they do bad things. Yeah, and it's you sit there and you look, you've got a whole there are a ton of wires connected and you're going, I don't see anything wrong.
And then you brush your hand over it and it comes back
And it
for a
comes
moment.
back.
Like, which one?
Which one?
Well, if you rub your hand over it just right and turn some on,
Yeah.
some off.
That's
Then it acts really funny. Well, the
That-
left wheel works, but the right one doesn't.
that's one reason why I stopped using the DuPont cables and went with wire wrap, because you can get a really good connection on with wire wrap. So,
We didn't have anything sense like that in the 90s.
oh no, wire wrap's been around for
No,
thousands of years.
let's put it this way. None of us bothered to take the time to do anything other than strip a wire and put it in a plate board.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
Nobody spent
the
extra.
older breadboards were built much better than the current crappy ones you can get on Amazon.
Yes.
I
got like 30 some old ones, so.
Yeah. I have an ancient Heath kit set up with the power supply built in and speaker and no tone generator and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yep.
And that breadboard is just amazing. I've stuck 40-pin ICs in it and phone wire and leads the size of that resistor, and it works.
And then they spring back and they close back up like they're supposed to. You know?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, these new breadboards, after you use them for a while, they loosen up and they never go back together again.
Yeah, they're disposable. Just
oh, well, and they're cheap.
And disposable.
They're cheapish. You can get a stack of 10 of them for $10. So,
I say, so they're not $20 a piece anymore.
no, and if you order them from China, they're really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But can you get nice ones?
You get
That
what
comes
you
going
get.
out.
You get what you get, and you like it, and you don't throw a fit.
I've got a breadboard board. I mean, it's aluminum with banana plugs on it and stuff that I probably got around 1985. It is great. It really is. I've got some Radio Shack ones from that period that just keep going. And I've got half a dozen that I've gotten since that were really cheap that may or may not work the first time you use them.
Yeah, well, between the combination of using modernish breadboards and DuPont cables, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
You just Hey Art, if you're still around, bye. Thank you for coming. We're in person next week. Yay. Yay. It's almost time for us to shut down anyway, so I'll see you later.